Welcome back to our Scala class, and we are working on this little NIM game, and we added saving of game scores in CSV format, but it would be much more beneficial to use to save the data, to save our game information in a database. In a real database, we'll use SQLLite, which we already covered. So let's hook it up in this today's lesson. We'll hook up saving of data into a database. Well, so what we'll do, the approach we'll take is, it's very typical. We'll create a separate database connection class. We'll create a database object out of this class, and then we'll use that method, some methods in this database, in this object, to call to save scores. So right now we have a NIM, or how do we save scores right now? Let's check our code. We have here NIM game has a save game score option, right? Save game result and save game score, right? Has also where to save it, right? Also saves the score in a specific name, right? Okay, so that's okay, that's fine, we can keep it for now, right? So all it is, we just need to use the database SQL syntax to insert some data. So let's open up our SQL connection. Let's refresh this. This is a few days ago, remember? Database connection right here, right? We saw how to make a connection, right? Using JDBC, right? Scala driver manager, right? And we'll need a database. So right now, well, we don't actually have a database, but we'll know that actually a database is created if you don't have one, actually, right? Automatically in SQLLite, which in a way is good, but that doesn't solve our problem. Our problem is also we need some tables, right? So that's also is actually something we can cover maybe later on, maybe in a second next lesson, right? So SQLLite tutorial, right? How to create tables, right? You could go here, right? Create table, right? There is a query for that actually, right? Again, so it's possible if it does not exist to create a table, right? In fact, we could do this actually, right? Let's see if we can actually do this, if it works, right? So, what do we need? For now, we'll have primary key will be our ID, right? And we'll have a really simple database schema, right? Actually, we're not even gonna use not going to use any constraints, probably nothing. So let's look at some examples, right? So create table, if not exists, right? On contact, right? Migration, right? And so this is something you have to do only once per table, right? Per database, right? So you create a table, right? And you say, okay, this is an integer primary key, right? Again, you set some special conditions, not null, right? Again, so let's try doing that. Let's see if that actually works. Let's see that. So I'll do play. I'll create a day 28 already, right? Day 28. Calculate. So I'll do object day 28 database migration. Database migration, right? Something like this. Add, right? And extends app, right? Right, let's create some tables. Let's create some tables in a new database, right? So I already immediately will create also a NIMDB class, right? I'll do this, right? So I will create a new file separately, since I want to save some time. I'll create a Scala class. Scala class. It's actually a real class, so I'll call it NIM. Let's do NIMDB, right? Class, new file. Okay. Add. Right, and we'll probably want in our NIM, right, we have some values, right? We'll probably want to have a destination, source or connection basically for the database, right? So let's do that. So we'll need basically source or URL or URI maybe, right? Address, I'll call it a URI, right? URL, they call it sometimes URL, but I'll call it URA. String, right? We don't know, or the source basically, right? Source, right? Right. And since this is a for now there's no password, right, or anything like that, because we are using SQLLite. If you had a password or anything, you would also add some possibly add it here as parameters. Okay, so it's gonna be a value, of course, right? But automatically it's required to be a value, and we'll try to make a connection. So let's go back to our day 25. How do we make it? Our constructor will be our DB path. That's our DB path, right? On a URL. So right, maybe we'll call it DB path, right? So how do I call it? I call it, right? So source or DB path. Let's call it DB path, right? So we don't have to DB path, right? Or path, right? Okay, and let's do we want the default one, right? So let's make a connection. So each time, idea being, each time you create this new object, you'll have a connection to this database, right? So on the connection, driver connection, right? For now, we're not doing, yeah, because we could also do, we can also add some connections. It's possible you have an exception, of course, right? So we'll leave that in, right? We need this one. We need this one only. This one we don't need, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay, everything's fine. We have a connection. And let's add some migrations, right? So I'll add the method migrate and to create a query using Scala, right? To create a database, execute database, connection. So let's see this, right? Let's run it. So new database, new val. db equals what? New name db, of course, right? And we need a connection, right? So we'll do source resources name, and I'll call just basically db, or I'll call it name.db, right? Something simple, right? So that will be our new connection, right? We don't have it yet, right? We don't have it here. We just have a bunch of games and a bunch of CSV, but we should be able to create it. So let's see. It should automatically appear. Let's see even now. This is already enough, right? So database connection. Let's get status. Can we get status now out of this? Print line. I think yes. Get status or get something status. I think we can get a statement. We'll do that. Don't have status. Get warnings, get type, get class, get client info, get metadata, right? Database. Of course, we could do this to string. Right? I'll do that. We'll see what happens, right? So let's see if this actually works, right? So we have a little simple connection. This is a constructor right here, right? And we have a should work, right? Fetching documentation, attempts to establish. So it does give you these two exceptions. These we should handle in general, right? That would be a good practice, right? You have two exceptions to handle. But okay, so let's run it, see if it actually works. Okay, zero code. So I have a, let's go explore it. Let's open up in Explorer. Right, let's see what we created. What kind of monster have we created? Let's see. Oh, here you go. Right, it should be 0 kilobytes. So it's basically empty file. It's completely empty file, right? So that's as simple as that, right? We could, of course, done this with a dbeaver or something like that. Okay, but let's add a, so now if I run it again, right? I should have nothing, should happen, no, there should be no error. I open a connection, but again, I have nothing, right? I have metadata, right? String, right? And here, where I get metadata, can I have anything else here? Can I do anything else? Get URL, for example, right? Let's get URL, right? Right. And this is a string, I believe, right? It gives you a string. Let's do this. Open database at like this, right? This should work. Let's check. Let's try this. And of course, we want connection closed, like at some point, right? Again, it's good practice to close it. Actually, of course, it automatically, you know, once we are done, right? Well, the thing is, we want to open it, right? So when we're done with this object, right, we don't really want to close it here yet, right? So because that's after the constructor, right? That should probably be something on the closing, right? So usually we leave it for now off. Let's see. Let's run. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, actually, yeah. Here you would. Okay. Open database. Yes. Well, yeah, looks good. Okay. So yeah, it works. No errors. No nothing. Right. So of course here cleanup. Right. Cleanup. Right. Close, right? We'll add that, right? Okay, so now let's move on to let's do the migration. So what does it mean migrate, right? We'll need to, not here, but here we want to define, not here, right? On MDB, yes, I don't want to open up here. I don't want to clean up here. I want to use it here, right? DB, and we can do DB, close, DB, close. We could probably do a cleanup here, right? This would be cleanup here, right? Clean up and finish running. Finish cleanup, right? Let's run it again. Yeah, okay. Right, so on the I'll define migrate. So what this mean is it's going to be a no parameters, right? Function unit, right? Maybe we can do some exceptions. But basically we want to this migrate means basically as far as for DB refers to table creation, you know, other setup needed to start work in a new environment, basically, right? Creation, right? So that's what we are talking about. So this is going to be, so what do we need to do? Right, so we're gonna check here our little create table syntax. Now let's think about this a little bit. We could do it also in terms of tables. So for now, again, we're gonna create this really simple table. We'll use this one here, right? The scores table here, right? Let's use this one, right? Let's open it up. Something like this, right? So winner, loser, on date. It would be nice to add date automatic. That actually would be nice, actually, right? So we don't have to do it by hand. So it's a little bit tricky, of course, right? There is a date creation function, actually automatic. So that would be really nice to do that. So it's slightly more involved, but at least we have winner, loser, and of course we'll need a primary ID, right? So so the whole minimum would be these three. So ID, right? Primary key, like this, and then winner, loser, and then created, right? This will be a date time, right? So, right. So let's see. We have also automatic date time creation. Would be really great, right? You see also foreign keys, right? You can do also foreign keys, right? So, so let's see if we can do that. So, if it not exists, let's check. So where's our connection, right? So we have connection. We're going to create a statement, right? Now we just do a SQL, right? So this is going to be a statement, right? We're going to create a statement and we are going to execute it, right? At some point, right? Execute query, right? Again, it's query, right? It's actually an order to do something, but still, we have a connection. And again, we have local, we don't need that, right? So we have a connection, yeah, because it's locally, right? So we have statement, and so we'll need to expand on this, and then we'll do statement execution, right? So here we go. Where are we? Execute. Result. Here you go. Execute statement, right? And let's see. This is correct one. Yeah. So questions, do you need, we'll talk about prepared statements also when we're doing insertion. But for now, we'll do execute query. It should work. Do we need results? We won't probably get anything at all, but that should be enough, right? So, okay. Don't need any of these, right? So, on we could return a result set, right? Let's do that. Yes, since we have nothing to return, we might as well return it, right? Result set. So oh yeah, why not? Result set. It shouldn't really return anything actually, right? Now we are correct. No, why not? Oh, import, yeah. All right. Yeah, there are many results. Okay, so looks good. All right. We don't have to return, right? We could not. Don't have to return, right? We shouldn't be getting any results on return, on insertion, on table creation. But okay, table creation. But let's go with it. So so SQL. So let's do this, right? So create table. We'll call it results, right? So create table results. Let's do this. And again, I could of course do it by check it by hand. So create table by result. So create table. I'll do capitals. It's not, of course, it's not case sensitive on the results, right? These are not scores. On occasion, again, it's some the database designers like to use singular again, but I mean, I prefer usually plural because it's going to be multiple results, right? So I'll use the results on, then we use this, right? We use this on, we end with this, right? Okay, that's gonna end it, right? Okay, so if not, and by the way, let's insert, right? We don't want to override this, right? We want if exists, if not exists, right? We insert this as well, right? So we only do it once, right? So this will not do anything at all second time, right? So on the column and data type. So this will need some. So integer, right? This is typical. So ID integer, right? And you could actually get some ideas from. So I'm doing it by hand. It's good for learning, right? From primary key, right? And again, you don't really I mean, if you have a database already, of course, you don't have to do this by hand, right? And let's say winner, right? And let's see varchar 256 maybe. Let's do that. Data types, SQL data types. Do we have SQL data types? Let's see. Start here. Indexes, functions, SQLLite, and data types. All right. Let's do that quickly. All right. Let's check what we have. All right. We have a null integer, right? Date time, right? Right. And actually, that's one of the limitations. You need to keep data as text, real, or integer. Actually, we'll use text, of course. All right, so texts, right, data time, so text, right, we'll use text, I guess, right, right, and right, so we'll use text. Let's try that. So winner, text, right, do we need a winner? Yes, so not null, right, so this will fail, right, if you don't have a winner, right. So let's do that. Not null. Let's use that. Right, on loser text. Again, this is not something, nothing too complex. And let's add created. For now, created, right? Or played, right? You can do played or created, right? I'll do created. And this also will be text, right? And it would be nice to do this actually automatic date insertion actually here. Let's see if we can do this. Let's run it. Let's see this runs first, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what happens. So we have SQL migrate. Let's do this here, right? So right. So db migrate, right? Oh, okay. Let's do that, right? Let's do migrate. Okay. So let's see it actually works. Don't have any errors. Okay, we got a nice little exception. So something does not. Query does not return. Okay, exception. This query does not return queries because, well, again, we really shouldn't be expecting anything to come out of it, right? So this is actually here. I'm not gonna return a result set, right? So this is actually not a result set, right? So I'm not gonna do it, right? So we just do unit, right? This is we actually executes query, right? So this one on. Since we are creating, right? So this will be unit, right? let's see, did we, a question is actually now, did we, let's open up dbeaver and let's see, did we actually create anything, right? It's possible that it worked. I mean, it's possible we created a table, but we didn't actually have a table yet. So let's open up, close, let's make a new connection. We know how to do this, right, already. Let's see here, database, SQLLite, browse, and Chinook no, resource yes, name yes, db name here. Okay, 8 kilobytes. Yeah, looks like we did create something. Let's open up, finish. Is it corrupted? Let's check. I have here, right, on tables. Oh, I do have a table, so it actually did work. Right? We can see it here. ID, winner, loser created. Nice. Okay, so it worked fine. So we can actually use it already, even with our failure. But okay, with our failing. But let's go again. Let's run it again. Now, simply like this. Let's run it again. And in fact, so this should not do. So this query, again, this query should do nothing if table already exists. Okay, let's do that. So we actually we won even though we got an exception. So our migration succeeded even though we got exception afterwards, right? So it's, I would say it's not kind of because we're not doing select, right? We're not requiring results, right? It's kind of a little bit design-wise, it's not very nice because sort of, how do you know? Like, I mean, unless you know your SQL, like when should you get SQL? When you should get results, or when do you don't get? When at which moment you don't get results? But okay, let's run with it again. Let's see if we have any exceptions. And I still get an exception. Aha. Query does not result. So what did I do wrong? Let's see. NameDB, SQL, con, strip margin. Let's see, what line? 28, statement, execute query. Ah, because this returns statement, right? Maybe it's not a query, maybe something else. Let's check what else can we do. Maybe execute something else. Statement. We're doing the wrong thing. Execute query. Yeah, I think so. What else can we do? Execute perhaps. Maybe it's not a query. Let's do that. Yeah, execute. Maybe it's not a query, so that's probably better. Let's try that one. So this should be correct function call, right? Statement, right, which might return in some cases. Yeah, okay. So this returns statement. Let's run it again. Okay, now it worked perfectly. So execute, not query will be for state. So the query for select. Okay. So we execute statement and it worked. Okay, so let's create table results, 2, just to check. Let's see it again. No errors. So let's check in here. Let's refresh, right? Refresh. Yeah, I got my table, second table as well. Okay, yeah, everything works perfectly. Excellent. Right, okay, let's go back to 2. Again, so it will keep creating tables if they don't exist. All right, so our migration is complete for now. Of course, it's not completely full. It would be nice. It would be great. It would be nice if you don't have to do our date insertion by hand like we do with Scala. We will work on that later on. It would be great. For now, we'll leave. Again, it's not, again, we can just, for now, our database works even with this. So let's get to actual insertion, right? So insert. So let's make a method in our DB, like we have I'll close this migrate. So this, right? And perform. I'll do this maybe. Yeah, perform table migration in a new installation. Do nothing otherwise. Does nothing otherwise. Right? and that's our documentation string. And let's define again, I'm plus, right? I'm inserting, showing the full. If you want, I'm going to basically hide it, right? So insert result, right? And basically winner result, winner loser, right? That's it, right? We don't really care about else. So this is string, right? So for now, really simple database insertion. Let's start with that. Of course, it would be nice to have some sort of more complex database schema, right? So let's do this. Unit is going to be a unit, of course, again. And we could again, so insertion. So how do we do it? Well, basically insert. Let's go back to our database insert. And well, it's a little bit trickier because Alvin actually, that's our command, right? Insert syntax, but we will want to use something called prepared statements, right? And also we'll want to use insert a date time also as well, right? Okay, so that's our create table, insert like so. Scala, SQL, insert Alvin. Let's check. Yes, select and insert. We haven't seen this, right? So idea is this. There is a security issue in databases. Let's see. Yes. So we want to write our queries using this prepared statement syntax. So it's a special type statement. Why do we need this, right? We want to avoid so-called Bobby tables, xkcd. We want to avoid this situation, right? So this is very probably the most widest security bug in the world, right? So because everything works on SQL, right? So if you have school, right? If you have school and you have a database, right? And your students, your son is named Robert, parenthesis, semicolon, drop table students, right? Well, then you can, if there's no sanitization of inputs, there's no prepared statements. If they add this push student, what happens? This ends the execution of this statement, adds a new statement, right? And goodbye student database table, right? You destroy the table, right? So so it's a problem, but it actually has pretty much any serious database connection software will offer these prepared statements which solve this, right? So meaning it's impossible, no matter what you name the user. So user input, whenever you don't want, even if your users name their player Alice parenthesis semicolon drop table results, right? It'll do nothing, right? It will do nothing. So that's what we want to avoid. So that will be actually our goal of avoiding this. So we want to avoid inserting unprepared values, right? This part here, right? Okay, so how we do it? The solution is here. We use this type of syntax, right? So we have this prepared statement, right? You see, we prepare a statement with this syntax and then we execute it afterwards. So not that bad at all, right? And so here's how to do it, right? And let's do it, right? So prepared statement, we create one. Okay, and we need to, of course, import it. And now, of course, I'll type it up. So insert into results, right? Into results, right? And we'll do what? Winner, loser, created, right? Loser, created. But now let's see. We're gonna add 2 question marks, and I'll do maybe for now created. We'll need to fix that maybe after the second part. I won't have time. Let's do something fixed, maybe, you know, year 2028, right? You know, 2022, right? Something you know, 05, 12, right, and so on, right? For now, right? So we need also semicolon, right? Do you have semicolon? Actually, we don't, but I think you should. But okay, let's see if it, okay. So I only need two things. So winner, loser. So we don't need integer here yet, right? So this will be what, winner, and this will be loser, right? Set string. So again, it's very strict, right? Even if your string has all kinds of weird stuff, it will be just insert as a value. So we have two question marks. This should work, right? So two question marks on the actual data. So we need to fix, of course, to do fix the date later. Fix the date later, right? Okay, all right. So statement, winner, loser. We have our connection. Prepare statement, execute. We have connection. Yeah, okay, we have connection. Everything works. All right. All right, let's see if we can insert a winner. Let's see if we can insert a winner. Okay, so migrate and insert result. I'll do Alice, of course, and Bob, right? Bob. Okay, let's see if we have any problems with the Alice and Bob. All right, so let's run it and see what kind of exception we get. No exception. Shocking, shocking on the first try. Right, so let me refresh this. I'm gonna refresh and we have the results. Oh, there you go. Perfect. You see, like magic. Works perfectly. Of course, if I run it now, we have a few more minutes, right? We're doing so well today, right? We have a few more minutes that we can actually see about getting. The cool thing is now let's find out about getting the date automatically. So what could we do? Well, if you don't know any SQL, right, here in your NIMDB, in your insertion, right, we could generate this data here somewhere, right? But there is SQLLite syntax. There is SQLLite syntax, SQLLite. Insert current timestamp, right? Let's do that. So in Stack Overflow, it should be still valid. Current timestamp, let's see, into date. Okay, it's not answered yet. Date, last month of values, current timestamp. Okay, that should do it. Let's see if this works actually, right? So is this actually, let's see, do we need the quotes? Well, I guess not. Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. So let's try it. I will do this, right? So this is the old way, right? No, actually we can't do that. It's a string, so we will. Well, let me commit first. This is a working example before I break things, right? So inserting values in a database. Data8. Saving game results into a database. Commit and push. Okay. Yeah, one warning, to-dos, yes. There's some warning somewhere, and let's do this here. So this is a standardized syntax. If this works, it will be perfect. Let's check. So current timestamp, like constant, right? Again, so if this works, it will be perfect, right? Let's save it and let's migrate something. You know, let's enter some more data, right? Maybe Carol and Dave, right? So let's check what happened. Let's see what happens. Again, once you set up these nice methods, right, it's not that hard to do, right? Not much more difficult than CSV or text, right? And again, we should be able to gain some nice advantages. Again, but let's see if it works. Again, let's not count our chickens before they hatch. So, let's see. No, amazing, no errors. Again, it doesn't mean there's no errors, but let's do it fresh. Okay, and look at this beauty, right? We have timestamp, so you don't have to do anything. This is generated by database. This is done by SQLLite engine, and again, pretty much it's all standard stuff. This is supported by pretty much all standard SQL. So current date, current time, current timestamp. So timestamp, right? This is great. You know, should be part of your tool set, right? So inserting current timestamp. So we are fixed date is automatic. Timestamp, current timestamp, is SQL standard. Right? So we learned quite a bit today, I think, right? So in is in SQL standard. Okay. Well, again, I'm trusting this guy here, but yeah, 165,000 feedback. Yes, I think you can trust him. Again, of course, he could make a mistake, but you want to be 100% sure you could check the SQL standard. But again, for our purpose, we know, okay, it works on SQLLite. Maybe there is SQL variation where this doesn't work. Then you have to look up documentation. But again, quite nice. Again, so is this a perfect solution? Of course not, because, well, the problem is it would be nicer, of course, all of this would be nicer. It would be nicer in migration right here, right? Would be nicer. Here I'll open up, would be nicer, right? It would be nicer to do create multiple tables, right? With users in one table, right? On winners and reference to that users table in results table, right? So when we do insert, we will reference the users table, right? So this would be actually even better, right? So that's something to do, right? The users table in our results table, right? So that's something to do. Will be on your query. Will be something on your to-do list. Okay, so that is today's first part. We can save it. We can save that. So what did we learn? Let's recap. We created a database object class, right? Which can open pretty much any SQLite database, right? It will create into this data. If you call a migrate method, it will create a table. If it does not exist, of course, if it exists, no problem. I mean, so we could use Chinook if you want, right? We could, right? It would be no problem. But of course, it's kind of useless. But why put everything in one database, right? This is specific for results, right? So in our application, we migrate and we insert some results. And again, let's run it again. Let's double check if everything works. Right? And yes, we did. Everything worked. Let's check. Let's refresh. Great. You see we have nice timestamps. Everything is awesome. All right. So thank you all. And we will continue with, well, adding more features. Again, maybe adding multiple tables to our database, right? In this migration. And also adding more queries, adding more insertions, and also retrievals. You'll probably also want some retrievals. All right. Thank you.